till Tuesday technically, but he's not here. So we made up for it a little bit. Got Garrett back, TB's back, Bryce is here, I think. Bryce, blink twice if you can hear me. If you're listening to this, couldn't see Bryce blink, must not be here.
What's up?
Oh, okay.
Your picture is just completely frozen. Oh, there he is.
Right.
He's back. Man, the myth, the legend.
Hold on.
All right, so while Bryce does
Can you
whatever
hear me
he
now?
does.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we could hear you. Just I needed you to blink and you wouldn't do that for me.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is just messed up right now, so bear with me.
All right, so everyone's going to talk about the good teams. I kind of want to talk about the fringe contenders going to lose on the first Saturday or Sunday of the playoffs. Talking about 7-6, 6-6, 6-7, 5-8 teams. Garrett's a fan of one of them, so he's going to go last. Bills fans, decide amongst yourselves what is the best wild card or in the bubble team that has a chance to win the Super Bowl.
The best wild card or bubble are we doing like AFC and NFC, or are we doing like whole NFL?
Just best.
Okay,
whatever,
so
best one.
I mean, I think that this might sound somewhat biased, but I think that the Bills are probably the best AFC wild card team right now. I mean,
Them or the Chargers, I would say.
They're in similar brackets right now. And I feel obviously more confident in Buffalo because we've seen just how good they can be, and the Chargers just haven't eclipsed that yet. But we've also seen how bad the Bills can be, and the Chargers have been just about as bad as they have as well. I mean, both these teams have problems, but on any given Sunday, they could beat any team in the NFL. And I mean, I wouldn't want to go up against either of them. In terms of the NFC, though, how are LA a wildcard team? I mean, this team, I understand they're sharing a conference with the Cardinals, who are currently one game ahead of them, but I mean, the Rams started this season looking like we're the best team in the NFL, and they looked like it again on Monday night. And I'm kind of happy for them. I'm kind of rooting for them to come out of the NFC here because they've just got so much talent, and they're also kind of the only team that I don't loathe. It's great, but they're just so much fun to watch.
The NFC wildcard picture is terrible. I mean, there are some bad teams that are going to get in, and
Yeah, I said it's a safe by sneak in. They're really hot, by the way. I don't know, Garrett. You think you think Taysom might be able to pull it out somehow?
No. And here's why. Taysom cannot throw a football. So, I don't want to make, as a Saints fan, I don't want to make the playoffs. It's only going to destroy our seeding, and I have to.
No one's worried about Taysom not throwing football.
Yeah, no one. You can stack the box with 11 people, and you'll probably win the game. Like, that team is not built for the playoffs right now. They don't have a quarterback. The defense is great. You know, the run game is very solid, especially with Kamara back. I mean, but that team's just not a playoff team. Yeah, I mean, they just look like a more fluent offense with Kamara out there. I mean, when Taysom throws the ball, I just hold my breath every single time. You know, like, I don't know. I don't think that team's going to make a splash in the playoffs. I think Philadelphia and Washington both have a better chance to make the playoffs. They have an easier division, easier schedule down the stretch. Obviously, as a Saints fan, like, I'll root for them to make the playoffs, I guess. But, like, everything aside, I think realistically it's going to be Washington or Philly fairly easily. I think one of those teams very easily sneaks into that 7th seed over New Orleans.
I would love for the Philadelphia Eagles to be like the 7th seed. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts just against all odds. That'd be great. I mean, Philadelphia media would still screw up, be like, oh, why are we only the 7th seed? And they're just impossible to please.
the funniest would be the Falcons if they can maintain this horrible point differential they have and somehow make the playoffs. Like right now, they've
I can't believe they're still
108 points this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And they goes to show how bad the NFC is.
I mean, yeah, it's this weird sort of divide. I mean, in the AFC, you got like 10 teams who are playoff contenders, really, in like real genuinely
NFC probably
deserve to be
5 or
there.
6.
Yeah, I would say 5
Not
teams.
even 6.
5 teams that are real contenders. That's the Packers,
Yeah,
the Bucks,
the Niners
Cardinals,
are half
Cowboys,
of a
and Rams.
contender.
Yeah, they've clearly shown that they can do it when they put it all together, but the pitfalls are too large.
If Atlanta still has a chance to make the playoffs, then that conference the bottom half just isn't good.
Mm-hmm. Fully agreed.
Even Washington too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Washington can be just so fun to watch, and I really did think that even though he wasn't going to be the answer, I thought Ryan Fitzpatrick could really bring this team up a notch, because an improvement in QB play on the season they had last year had them potentially pulling off a deep playoff run. But ultimately, the team hasn't been as good as we expected, and Fitzpatrick obviously didn't work out.
The Vikings should be better than all these other teams. They have Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, but they just refuse to be. They just won't win the games they're supposed
They
to.
can't finish games towards end. We saw it earlier in the season. They were 0-4. They should have won a couple of these games. They just couldn't, and it's still going on deeper into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, they fell apart when trying to stop the Lions. They had like a huge lead over Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh forced their way back in just by doing exactly what was expected of them and nothing more, and letting Minnesota fall apart.
Minnesota might be the worst coached football team I've seen in recent memory. Like, people joke about the Lions getting penalties for wasting timeouts against the Bears on Thanksgiving. Like, Minnesota isn't that bad explicitly one time, but consistently over the course of this season, they're just so bad. Like, the talent's there, but like, it goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how many chess pieces you have on the board. If the dude playing doesn't know how to play chess, like, you're not going to win football games.
They're giving up points in the last 2 minutes of every half, every game, and at the end of every game too. They're just getting beat in those key scenarios, and that's what's losing them these games.
And if they had a winning record, if they were on the radar, which they should be, if they weren't losing these close games and losing to the Lions, Kirk Cousins would be having an MVP caliber season. But we're not going to talk about him because they consistently find new ways to embarrass themselves. Even when they win games, winning 36-28 should have been a great win against the Steelers, but it wasn't. Like, it was embarrassing because of how close they made it, because they're so poorly coached. It was so bad.
It's frustrating because Cook and Jefferson are both so good. Like, they both have
Thielens there
capabilities
too,
to
right?
be top 5 at their position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got like a great O-line most of the time. Like, I mean, it's just remarkable. They've got so many great veterans on defense that they went out and picked up after their whole youth movement collapsed and failed last year, and yet somehow they're just not able to piece it together with any consistency.
Yeah, that's what happens with Mike Zimmer. I mean,
they need new coach bad.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski would have been perfect, but Cleveland got him. Any chance Cleveland sneaks the big dance?
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens might be done winning games. I feel like they're just so injured.
Yeah, with Lamar, no one really knows what's happening with him yet.
No one knows what's going on with Cleveland. They're hard to predict. Like, Baker's so off and on, it's not funny. He's been hurt a lot. Now they got a bunch of COVID outbreaks. They got 3 offensive starters with COVID now. So
their next 3 games also for the Ravens is they play the Packers this week, at Bengals. They play the Rams and the Steelers. Like, I could see them losing 3 of those games. They might beat
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The reason I'm going to say that the Browns could make it all the way to the big dance is because they do 2 things very good that are going to come in handy when it's cold and when it's snowy, and that's because they win in the trenches and they win with their run game. And that's why they were a Chad Henne miracle play away from knocking the Chiefs out last year. And that's why I think they could go on some kind of Cinderella run this year again, because they're going to have Chubb, they're going to have Hunt, they're even going to have Johnson as their 3rd string. And they're going to win the trenches. They have the best offensive line in the NFL, and they have Myles Garrett on the other side with a revived Jadeveon Clowney. And for that reason alone, this team is built to win at this point in the season, especially with everyone on top of them in the division starting to collapse because of injuries. If they've outlasted them, and they win football in these conditions. So don't be surprised. I'm just going to say it now. If they really surprise a lot of people when games start to matter.
I think the division could come down to that Bengals-Browns game the last week of the season.
I mean, yeah, the whole division is so close. I mean, every one of those teams is still within 2 wins of one another. Not even 2 wins, one loss.
Good team too.
Yeah, it's every one of these teams could win the division, even the Steelers, and they're I mean right now they're deservedly last place, but they're not by any means a bad team.
They need a miracle to win the division, though. Pittsburgh does.
I don't want to say they're good, but like when TJ Watt plays, he just wins games for them. He just wrecks games and they win.
Yeah, the problem is that the Steelers do have a really tough stretch to end the season. They've got the
their offense is
Titans.
Inconsistent too.
Yeah, they've got the Titans, then the Chiefs, then they've got the Browns and the Ravens, and that's their last 4. And they might need to win out at that stretch.
All these teams do. Like the Bengals have the easiest stretch of the 4, and all the Bengals games are against teams above 500.
Yeah, that doesn't really bode well for them, but it's not really.
The Browns still have to play the Packers and the Chiefs. Like it's tough.
Mm-hmm. I mean, every one of those teams has a really rough stretch at the end of the season, and it's kind of sort of I think that it kind of proves that whichever one of them comes out on top of that really has a shot in the playoffs. But we just don't know who.
They're battle tested. I mean, the entire AFC being so close. I think the NFC being top heavy gives the NFC an advantage late in the playoffs because there's those 5 teams that I think could go toe to toe with any team in the AFC. But the AFC being so tightly packed together and playing in so many shootouts and close games, I think is going to make it a dead even thing no matter who's matched up in the Super Bowl because you have top heavy teams in the NFC and you have battle tested teams in the AFC, and it's kind of like a David versus Goliath no matter how it matches up. I mean, when you get that late in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Indianapolis. I like a little Frank Reich end of the season, maybe sneaking in.
Jonathan Taylor's been on a tear lately for Indy.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson Wentz is kind of starting to heat up a little bit too with Michael Pittman and everybody there. So I like them to make a run in the playoffs.
They're sneaky good on defense too, and they once again win in the trenches. So I mean, you just give the ball to JT, let Wentz throw it 20 times a game. Well coached, good defense, sneaky good defense. You know, like that's a team I don't want to see in the playoffs. That's a team that's the team that's going to upset you. Basically,
I mean, that's the team that Phil Rivers essentially held back last season, and he was doing pretty well with them, but he just wasn't the kind of quarterback they needed, and Wentz might be.
They play in a dome, so going in as a wild card almost benefits them. Like they'll be on the road playing in those like outdoor cold weather environments, and that's the kind of games they need to be playing in. That's what gives them an advantage. We already saw that when they went to Buffalo this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you put pass heavy teams in tough situations, and then a physical defense like theirs, along with that powerhouse running game, they could really roll over damn near any team in the NFL on the right Sunday.
There's a huge game this weekend. They play the Pats.
Yeah, that's gonna be big.
That's gonna be big for the AFC standings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on Saturday night.
Yeah, if Patriots can lose, maybe Chiefs can top them for at least a week.
Mm.
And the Bills are back in it if the Colts win too.
Yeah. And if they can actually win this week, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's been a rough stretch being a Bills fan, but they've had some incredible play, just no consistency, and that's just upsetting. But I mean, the second half of that Bucs game was an incredible show from damn near every position on the field for Buffalo.
It's what everyone expected before the season started, and we just haven't consistently seen that type of play all season long.
Yeah, but it's encouraging for me that they've started. It looks like they might have started to figure things out a bit more with still enough time left in the season. Because, now's the time to get up. If they come out and they roll over the Panthers and, then they beat the Patriots, then sure, they need a little help, but they could win the division still.
Then you got fairly easy teams with the Falcons, then you should be able to beat the Jets.
Yeah, you should be. The Bills should be beating at least 3 out of the 4 teams left on their schedule. And there's a possibility for them to beat all 4, but we just don't know.
If they win the rest of their games, I'm willing to take them seriously, but the coaching decisions just haven't been great this year. Like
McDermott did have been terrible.
The fake punts were terrible, or the fake punt was terrible. The punts were terrible.
The thing is, the fake punt worked last year in Monday Night Football against the Patriots. It worked really well in the first quarter from our own 30-yard line because it was an unexpected call. We weren't in a desperate position. If we were intending to go for it in that part of the field at that time of the game when we're down 3 scores and in desperate need, then he should have just tried to do it with the offense. He needed 2 yards, not 10.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need to hit them with the tricks. Josh Allen is fully capable of making that offense get 2 yards when they need it.
The thing is, Josh Allen has been, Josh Allen's been or was killing the Buccaneers with his legs the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And
even when he got hard
Singletary. Yeah. Singletary was averaged like 13 yards a carry. He was consistently running the ball well, and they just didn't. They decided to do a fake punt, which was kind of dumb in my opinion.
Yeah. It's
a gut decision guy. That's what he always says. He doesn't play the analytics. He plays by his gut, and his gut has just been consistently wrong this year. And puts the Bills on the wrong side of a bunch of
when
games.
he does trust the analytics, things tend to work out. Mm-hmm. But that was something that changed a lot last year. Was him listening to his advisors on a lot of major decisions. Listening, getting everyone's input and making an informed decision instead of just going, yes, but I feel it. Which I think is, it's got its place. Sometimes, you do just have to go with your gut. But when you go with your gut in those hard decisions, I think, when it's a close call, and it's just he's made a couple boneheaded ones so far. I still believe that he's the best coach the Bills have had since Marv Levy. I still think that he's got plenty of time to, he's earned a lot of longevity, and the people calling to fire him are just, frankly, idiotic to me. But he's earned his criticism.
Mm-hmm.
We have nothing else.
Cardinals and the Rams had a good one last night. This will sound crazy, right? But I think it's better that the Cardinals lost than they won. Hear me out. So Cardinals play way better on the road, which is weird because who wouldn't want to play in the lovely desert? I know I would prefer to play there. The turnover differential is way better on the road too. Cliff hates the big coats, but he coaches better in them. Kyler is a little more protective in the cold. So I don't know. 2 seed isn't terrible. Well, actually, they're now what, the 3 seed?
3 seed.
Yeah, you'd want that first round bye if I was there.
No.
They need a week off to figure out.
James Conner and DeAndre Hopkins are hurt right now, so you kind of need that week off.
Yeah, give yourself as much time as you can get.
I would take a 75% DeAndre Hopkins over still half the receivers in the league.
That's a reasonable thing to say. He is incredible, but
still, you'd want.
You still want 100% if he's available.
Yeah,
but
you'd want him to heal up.
Yeah,
100% AJ Green is still a doofus. I do not understand what he's doing half the time. I swear to God, he wants to lose games for the Cardinals.
And that was somehow his best game of the season too.
He lost it for him against Green Bay when he.
And then last night he had the touchdown. Okay, I never played wide receiver in the NFL. Okay, but you can look not right before the ball is to you. You know what I mean? He could have adjusted in air. There was nobody within 5 yards of him. So just, I don't know, redirect yourself and maybe catch a touchdown. I don't know. That would have helped. I don't know.
He's never been the same since. Yeah, he's never been the same since punching Jalen Ramsey in the helmet. And I think part of the reason why he was so weird last night is because Jalen Ramsey was on the other team again. So maybe he just got nervous. But
thing is, Jalen Ramsey was out with COVID though.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
AJ Green and James Conner did better receiving than DeAndre Hopkins without James Conner. That I don't get.
The usage of Hopkins has been weird, even dating back to last year.
Sometimes I feel like they use him as a decoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
very expensive, very tall, almost alien-like decoy.
Yes. Thing is,
$100 million decoy. Yeah.
That was part of the reason.
Overthinks it.
Yeah. That's part of the reason that Diggs was unhappy. It's part of the reason why OBJ was unhappy. These guys are stars and they deserve to get the ball fed to them as much as possible.
And the Rams are using Odell a lot now.
Yeah. They took a couple of weeks, obviously, and then now they've sorted him out, and he's earned a place in the offense.
Took a couple of weeks. He was hurt, 2 weeks ago with that back injury, taking a knee to the back. So now he's finally getting more comfortable in that offense.
Yeah. And I know that he wouldn't be getting. Yeah, well, that's unfortunate, but hopefully he can be back in time for this week.
Yeah, I don't think he's vaccinated, so there's that.
Yeah. We always hear about so many guys getting going out with COVID, but most of them up here to be are all like following unvaxxed protocols, and it's like a damn shame because like we got so much talent in this league, and like some of these teams are unbelievably talented, but then like that one positive test disrupts half a team on game day. I mean,
it's all right though. Van Jefferson will step up big time.
I know you believe in Van Jefferson.
Yeah. Van Jefferson's great, and the Rams, top to bottom, have the best roster in the NFL. I mean, that's going to get disagreed with, but the Rams are built to win the Super Bowl. Like, that roster is so good. Matthew Stafford's that guy. Van Jefferson, OBJ, Cup on the receiving core. I mean, Darrell Henderson's a great back. Sonny Michel's a great backup, and they don't even have Cam Akers.
Yeah, I was going to say, how good would they have been with Cam Akers?
I mean, it'd be insane. I mean, the defense has – imagine telling somebody 3 years ago, oh, yeah, there's a defense in the NFL with Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, and Von Miller on it, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that team is – I mean, Von Miller's not the player he once was, but, I mean, he's still a disruptor. I mean, that team is so good.
And sometimes you do just need that veteran pair of eyes as much as anything else.
I also feel like Von Miller's been a very expensive decoy so far. No? Okay.
I mean, they don't really use him like a decoy, though. I mean, you just kind of...
Yeah, but he's also not doing anything, which...
a guy not showing up on the stats is different to a guy not contributing. I mean,
but he's like not really even getting any pressures.
Yeah,
like,
I haven't even noticed him like on the screen really yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday, wasn't it just I don't know, his only pressure was at the first play of the game where he got the flag.
Like,
I feel like it was just because Donald was getting pressure every time in 1 second, so there was just not even a chance for Von Miller to get in there.
Yeah,
like I feel like when you see Von Miller when he's played so far in LA, it's after Aaron Donald or Leonard Floyd like gets a sack, and then Von Miller comes up. Like, if they would have missed him, he would have been there. And then like if 5 seconds also like ticked off, then he would have definitely gotten him. But that's what I feel like he's been. But then, when it comes to January, he's going to get 14 sacks in 3 playoff games and be like, oh, wow, what an acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it happen. I mean, he brings that veteran experience, and he does have – he has been, since the time he was drafted, one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
I mean, he single-handedly turned Cam Newton into a meme by the way he treated him in the Super Bowl. So I think you're trading for that guy as well. Yeah. He might not get a sack the rest of the regular season, but I mean, you're going to want him in the playoffs, and that's probably when he's going to show up.
Yeah, and at the very least, he's going to be. He knows how he can contribute to a team to get somebody else open.
All right, nobody can pick Bears Vikings or Saints Buccaneers. Those are obviously the 2 best games of the week. That's why we all have to watch them in America. What is the best game of the week?
Colts Patriots. It's Colts Patriots.
I think that's a reasonable take. It's hard. There's no other game that's quite that same weight to it. That means quite as much.
AFC West is on the line Thursday night.
I mean that.
Chargers.
I'm just saying, Saturday night is going to be the biggest game possibly all season for the AFC playoff picture as a whole, in my opinion. That's huge. A huge game, especially if Indy pulls it off. Especially if Indy pulls it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go Chiefs Chargers. There's just too much riding on the line for really either team to lose this game.
This is really similar to that game. What was it? 2-3 years ago? The year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but the Chargers also went like 13-3. And that was like Week 15 Thursday night game too. So it's almost the exact same situation.
Yeah, the Chargers solved Lamar that year, and then they ran the same defense against the Patriots the next weekend and got destroyed.
Because those are definitely the same quarterbacks and the same teams. Yeah. They knew how to run one kind of defense, and they did it. I gotta say, my game of the week, if I couldn't pick those games, gotta be Titans Steelers. I mean, the Steelers have a lot of talent, and they're just coming off a loss where they were that close.
Packers Ravens might be good too.
I agree.
Lamar awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the big question mark. I think
even Seahawks Rams.
Yeah, there was a lot of injuries to a lot of important players this week that are being watched, and it's going to be pretty crucial. I think, but I think bet the Steelers. That's my game of the week if I can't pick.
There's like
Colts,
76.
Pats, or Chiefs, Chargers.
There's like 76 players put on COVID list just in the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna make
I'm not sure either of these games. I'm not sure either of these games will be enjoyable, but Bengals, Broncos, Falcons, Niners both are serious playoff ramifications there too.
Falcons, Niners is big for the NFC.
Mm-hmm. Which it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, you could essentially write one team off after that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to know what's crazy? Like, no less than 4 times we've said this game has huge playoff ramifications, and then it just hasn't. Like, we were talking about games 2 months ago that it was like, basically we could write one team off, blah, blah, blah. And then it didn't happen.
Well, yeah.
That's how unpredictable the season's been.
Yeah, at this point, you just throw out your goddamn predictions and you just hold on for dear life as we roll into the next
flip
week.
a coin.
Yeah. It's like...
that dude that was flipping the Raiders coin. I mean, he would start, 11-0? I mean, you literally can just flip a coin sometimes.
I feel like we had our coin flips, though, and now December football, the good teams are going to start to dominate, and they're going to start to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. That's what the next month is about.
But, I mean, typically, that's what, October is about. Typically, the teams that are, 5-1, 4-2, occasionally 6-0, are the teams that are contending, and yet here we are. The teams that started hot, half of them are barely even in the playoffs anymore, and the teams that started
Bengals
out
and Chargers
mediocre, they're back.
Are great examples.
Yeah,
I think the extra week of the season makes that big of a difference because you hit the 10-game mark, and that feels like the stretch. But this year, you hit the 10-game mark, and there were still 7 games left on the schedule. Like half the season was left.
This was really random. I don't know how, but I hate the NFL for giving the Patriots a Week 14 bye.
Yeah,
that's stupid. Yeah.
I think that the idea that they added an extra game to the season and extended it like that, and yet they didn't.
Yeah, but it's dumb that them of all teams had to get it.
Add 2 weeks to it. Give them an extra bye.
Like if the Bills could have gotten it, I wouldn't be complaining. I would have even brought it up. But the fact that the Patriots had to get to Week 14 bye, dumb.
Yeah.
You know who got a Week 4 bye again? The Jets. You know who didn't get a bye after a London game? Miami. So, of course, the Patriots were going to win.
The NFL is going to force feed us a Buccaneers-Patriots Super Bowl if it is the death of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that was not more evident than the Tampa Bay Buffalo game when they called that PI on, who was that?
Levi Wallace?
Yeah, but they didn't call
remind
it
me of
when,
that yet.
when Diggs was trying to make that play. I mean, they're going to force feed us that Super Bowl.
There's 2 that could have been called on Diggs.
There were 3. Including overtime. There were 3 that could have been called on Diggs. The thing is, if you just call the one at the end of regulation, then we don't go to overtime. Nothing else matters. And
you got to be
keep hearing
consistent with your play calling, though.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, the Bills were awful in the first half. They were great in the second half, and everyone could say, "Oh, well, it shouldn't have come down to you needing the refs to win." And it's like, okay, but it also came down to them needing the refs to win as well. It goes both ways. Whether you call it
affecting
or not.
Huge third down plays on both sides. There's no other way to say it. Like every penalty that was a questionable call was on a massive play in the game.
Yeah, and it was generally blatant. And once again, I don't think that the NFL is fixed. I just think that referees are incompetent and inconsistent.
It's ironic that the Bills fan doesn't think it's fixed.
They know what they want.
No, I
make it happen.
I say there's a strong case, and I think that people who say that it's fixed absolutely have an argument. But I generally just think that these guys hire incompetent people, and it's consistently underwhelming. And their refusal to fix the problem is much more of an issue than the idea of it actually.
Yeah, it's not even against the Bills, but there's no consistency from the refs every Sunday, every week, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but these
the Bucs corners
kind of
get to be more physical.
Yeah,
the inconsistencies always benefit the Patriots, which is funny because we're like, oh, the NFL hates the Patriots, but they don't.
No, I mean, come on. How do you? An entire team refuses to comply with a cheating investigation, and they slap them with a $1 million fine, which is pennies.
And they lost the first round.
And they gave one player a 4-game suspension and then let him win the Super Bowl immediately.
Yeah, you gave 39-year-old Tom Brady a month off. He literally went to Italy. That's how little those games mattered to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
And then he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he was just
fresh.
I
The NFL hates the
keep
Patriots.
fresh.
Yeah, I think that the idea that the sort of the league hates the Patriots is stupid, but I do think that the league just hates everyone,
and then
equally.
Every single playoff.
They give the benefit of the doubt to the teams that make them more money.
Like, remember the Minnesota Super Bowl? The Minnesota Vikings went on that run, and they were like, "Oh, are the Vikings would be the first team?" No, of course they're not. They're the Minnesota Vikings. But then we have the bubble Super Bowl, all the first responders at the game, which was a really nice touch. And I felt like they did a lot of great work last year and still and forever. But then it was like, oh, Tom Brady finally gets a Super Bowl in his own stadium, and then oh my gosh, he's playing it. Oh my gosh, he won it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the weekend stumbled around for that was pretty cool. I like that part. The halftime show was great, so I kind of ignored the rest of the game.
Yeah, he kind of gave us a lot of great memes, and what else could you really want out of a halftime
All right,
show?
so actually, that's a good segue by me. What else is new? I'm so sick of seeing the Bucks are the best team in the NFC. They're not. They're really, really not.
I think they're a very good team.
I would take two,
who's the
maybe
best,
three teams over. The Packers are the best team in the NFC.
I would agree.
They also, I'm going to say the Rams. I don't care if they're a wild card team. I think their roster is the best.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers lost to Trevor Siemian, so I think that ends their argument right
and
there.
Okay, yeah, that is.
Yeah, I absolutely. I've been on the Rams train since the season began, and I haven't gotten off of it. I think they were hit a slump, but I mean they're coming back. I love the Rams. I think they look great this year. They did exactly what they needed to do to win a lot of games, and they're going to make the playoffs. It might be tough to win the division just based on the whole situation with Arizona, and Arizona has a couple easy games come to finish out the season. But it's the Rams are absolutely this brilliant team, and I would say that I think that if it wasn't for their slump, I would confidently put them at number one. But it's hard to, considering they did hit that low point for a while.
But
I'm worried about Matt Stafford. He's so great, but he's also so inconsistent. And for them to make the Super Bowl, they're going to need him to play 3 great games in a row.
Always injured too.
Great teams, which just. I don't know. I feel I just do not trust him to do that.
I mean, Jared Goff played 3 great games to get them to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Stafford just definitely could.
I mean, Goff didn't play 3 great games. He played
he played 3 good games to get them.
Yeah, three good games, which he needed a little help with.
Yeah, I was going to say,
money
on Stafford now. The defensive margin for error isn't there like it was with Goff.
I watched the man get killed and didn't see a flag thrown, so that Super Bowl was an entire wash. I wouldn't even talk about that. But Matt Stafford is at the point where everybody was like, "Oh, put Matt Stafford on a great team. He's going to be such a great player. Watch." And now he's on a great team. And then they lose. And then everybody thinks oh, yeah, I'm different. I'm going to say Matt Stafford sucks because I'm different. I think different than you guys. Yeah. Matt Stafford is a superstar. And they've been a little inconsistent. They hit a cold spot. They're going to lose games. They're not going to go 17-0. But then you get those people that are like, yeah, Matt Stafford's overrated just to sound different. Matt Stafford is a superstar and MVP
he's never
contender.
Been overrated in his life.
No, yeah. But now he's on a great team, so he gets the hate because they win games, but they're not going to go 17-0. So anytime they lose, they're going to look right at Matt Stafford and be like, "Oh, you're not on the Lions anymore. Maybe you're just not good." When in reality, Brady's never. Okay, Brady did win out the regular season, but he didn't go 19-0.
Yeah, he did. He missed out on the big one.
I mean, Matt Stafford is at worst a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I'm adamant on that. I love Stafford. I mean. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I love Matt Stafford, and I think anytime he gets hated, it's so frustrating because they're only hating him to sound different because he spent so long in Detroit, a team famous for destroying Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. You know?
I mean, I do think he doesn't get enough credit. He finally has the talent around him, and he is inarguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Top 5 is tough because there's a lot of great QB talent right now, but I think that he deserves to be in the top 5 conversation.
It's bold, I know, but he's thrown a couple of costly interceptions. He's been a little bit of a turnover magnet, especially during their cold streak. But when it's all said and done, I can't name 5 quarterbacks I'd rather have when I'm going on a Super Bowl run. I mean, he's just that guy. I know he's not really been there just because he's with the Lions, but he's going to be hungry. I want him on my team right now. Maybe more so than like anyone. Like he's going to be great.
Yeah, actually, looking at the list of QBs right now, you might be right about top 5. I mean, who else are you going to put? I mean, I would say my favorites right now, the only guys I would put probably above Stafford in terms of making a deep playoff run would probably be Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, and Allen.
I would rather have Herbert than Stafford right now.
Right now?
Herbert hasn't been consistent, Herbert. Though.
Yeah.
Herbert
I mean, Stafford hasn't been consistent, but Herbert's been less consistent than that.
Herbert has the best arm I've ever seen. Like, honestly.
He does, yeah.
Like, it's stellar. Like, but I don't know if I'm taking him over him right now. Like, Herbert has the potential to be one of the greats, like, even better than the dude who was on the Chargers before him type level. Like, that's how talented he could be. But right now, I just like Stafford more. I mean, and I love
I'm high on the Chargers. I think they've looked the best they have the last couple of weeks, but they play the Chiefs on Thursday, so that's when we'll really find out.
Yeah, we'll learn a lot about LA that game. I want to see Herbert against Mahomes. I mean, that could be a matchup we see in that division for the next 15 years. You know, so I can't wait to watch it.
To succeed in Seattle, he doesn't have a run game, doesn't have an offensive line, and barely has a tight end. I mean, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett were great picks for Seattle, so I got to give them credit for that. But their defense can't even hold on to the leads that Russell Wilson has given for him.
I just have a feeling he'll be back there next year. It depends how they finish the year out. Like, I think if they finish remotely competitive, he'll be back.
I do too, but like the thing is, last year he already had some trade buzz around him coming from him and his agent. So even like now he's with a bad team, so why not just? And they don't have a first round pick, which they traded away for Jamal Adams. So I mean, they don't really have that great of a future. And if you want to win now, if you're Russell Wilson, you got to leave. I feel like.
I mean, I think this offseason is the time to trade Wilson. I think his trade value is only diminishing with each year he ages. I mean, they should have traded him a few years ago. They haven't really done anything since then. And if you
should have traded him last year.
Yeah, I mean, if you need any value for this guy, I mean, you have to trade him now. You don't have a first-round pick. You have to, they have to rebuild. Carroll is not coaching good football anymore. Wilson's just not doing it. They're, 4-8, I mean, yeah. I mean, they're not going to
their first-round picks with the Jets, too. Yeah, and that's a top 5 pick.
You know, it's time. It's time. Blow it up. Send him out.
Send Jamal out.
I like the idea of the Giants.
I don't want to send DK or lock it out, but you might have to.
DK has some value, but I'm holding on to him. Everyone else is expendable. I'm trying to send Russ to New York, maybe. I mean, Danny Dimes doesn't seem like he could. He's another guy that could get rotated in that QB carousel as a bridge.
And there was not trade rumors, but Twitter rumors about him and his neck injury possibly being career-ending. So you might have to.
Wow.
You might be forced to find a quarterback.
The Giants, even if he's healthy, they cannot go back next year with the same head coach, quarterback, and GM. Someone's got to go. I think all 3 need to go, but at least 1 or 2 of the 3. And they said
they spend a lot of money this offseason not to succeed.
I mean, the definition of insanity is doing something repeatedly and expecting different results. When is it time to change something? I mean, it's not working. And that
they let Gettleman use a first-round pick at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and tackle, and their offense is still terrible.
And they spend, $80 million on Kenny Galladay for him to be hurt half the year.
He's a jump ball receiver, and Danny Dimes can't throw a good jump ball. I mean, that offense is just it's like watching paint dry, and it shouldn't be. The amount of money is invested.
You got a first-round tight end, and Evan Ingram, and Kyle Rudolph is having a better season than he is.
Yeah. I mean, it's time. Blow it up. Or get Russell Wilson and try something else. Anything. Just quit doing the same thing for the sake of Giants.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to have these 2 top 10 picks this year. Dave Gettleman cannot make those draft picks under any circumstances.
No. Yeah, no. They need someone. Let a fan make them. Anyone but that guy. It's so bad.
Let the team chef make them. I'd rather have the team chef make the picks than Gettleman.
Does Saquon have any trade value left?
Yeah.
Like, what's the best they
maybe
would get for him?
Fifth? I want to guess a fifth rounder.
When Barkley's on the field and he's actually healthy, I mean, I know we see that maybe once or twice a year. I mean, it's like a Friday the 13th. It's like a full
for
moon
the first two
twice
games
in a month. Yeah, I mean, he's outstanding. You know, I mean,
That
He's
one
crazy. He's
route
only
he ran
24.
yesterday, the route he ran on Sunday on the touchdown he scored was so nice, and it just doesn't do it consistently.
He's
But
a
you just
star. He
can't get that
single-handedly
from
took
him.
the Saints down earlier this year. I mean, but how much are you willing to sacrifice for a guy that's always hurt or finds?
That's why I'm saying maybe a fifth rounder.
I mean, yeah, I would be willing I would be willing to give up maybe max a third if I'm really desperate and I really want to make a run and need a running back because I see the potential.
The cap hit is tough, like paying.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I still like Saquon a lot when he's healthy. It's just when is he healthy anymore? I mean,
like year 2 off the ACL is the year you're supposed to be better. So I'm willing to see it. Like if next year he might even just return to what he was before. So I'm not willing to give up on him. But I mean, I would struggle to trade a meaningful.
If you trade Saquon before June 1st, you have $7 million in cap savings with 0 dead cap.
Yeah, that's huge, especially if the Giants are trying to clear up cap to land a quarterback like Russell Wilson.
I mean, if I'm running back away from making a Super Bowl run, I would go after him. Because he probably put up more than, say, a third-round rookie running back, second or third round.
But it's just the salary difference between the two. That's the holdup.
A team like the Bills.
Injuries.
We have a Bills fan here. What do you think? What would you trade for Saquon Barkley? Either one of you.
Would you trade Tremaine Edmonds for Barkley?
Oh,
the way Edmonds has looked this year, like.
I mean, I'd rather trade a fourth rounder. I mean, I hate Tremaine Edmonds as much as next Bills fan, but I would rather trade a fourth rounder than our middle linebacker.
Yeah, I'm off the idea of paying Edmonds at this point. I don't know. I mean, about
I'd pick up his fifth-year option, and that's it.
Yeah, there are 2 guys that are on their fifth-year options that I'm not sure that the team they're on wants to keep them and pay them like they're elite at their position, which is what is going to end up happening to both players.
I could do a whole podcast about how much I hate Tremaine Edmonds, but I'll save that for another time.
I agree. Trading him for a running back, not good value.
No, it's not.
We'll get to the Denver Broncos in a second, but I think what's more interesting is that Teddy Bridgewater, what is it, Bryce? He wants 20 or 25 million per season?
Yeah. He wants a long-term deal, $20 million.
The fact that he even expects to get a long-term deal, let alone 20 to 25 million, he must really be enjoying Denver and its extracurricular activities.
He was in Minnesota with Sam Bradford. He learned a couple tricks.
Oh,
that's different. Sam Bradford was a known con man. Teddy Bridgewater's a good guy. I don't know
if you enjoy stats. He put up 2,954 yards, 18 TDs, and 7 interceptions so far this season, with a great offense around him with Sutton, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. I mean, even Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler.
Noah Fant.
Then you got Noah Fant and Albert O too. I mean, this is a good offense they have around him, and he's just not putting up stats.
He's a good backup. He's become that at this point in his career. He's a guy you put on your bench that if your starter gets hurt, like, we'll be all right. We can win football games. We have Teddy on the bench. He's not a guy you pay $25 million for.
No.
I mean, good Lord.
If Teddy gets him in the playoffs, though, John Elway will convince himself that's the franchise quarterback, and he will pay him.
I mean, he did that with Brock Osweiler a few years ago.
Oh, my God. Brock Osweiler.
Was it $65 or $75 million a year? Not a year, but total.
Yeah, $72 million contract.
Yeah. 4 years, 70, wasn't that what it was? Oh my gosh.
Paxton Lynch in the first round, like, they've missed a lot. Trevor Siemian, they gave him the chance.
I know how Bryce will feel about this. so I'll let him go last. Is Davis Mills like seriously going to be the Texans starter next year? He's not like doing terrible.
Mills mania. I'll say that.
I'm not into Davis Mills. I'm really not. He looked better last week, but I feel like for most of the year he's looked like one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know. You can say what you want about the Texans offense, but I kind of believe in some of their players. Like Cooks is a good veteran. I think Nico Collins is a good young wide receiver who's been underutilized this year because of their quarterback situation. And like they've had decent backs in there. It's obviously not a good team, but I don't see Davis Mills ever really being a contributor on a good team.
Here's my 2 cents on it. This team is probably at least 20 of their 22 starters away from making a splash. So if they open the season with Davis Mills at quarterback, I'm not going to be surprised, especially with this draft class not being very quarterback friendly. The free agency, I mean, they could make a play, but they don't want to overpay, not with that roster. I mean, they might draft a guy late to compete with Mills, but I would bet money that Mills is the week 1 starter next year.
I guess they could do it. I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think he's a great – but like when I first joined here, I was amazed at the Davis Mills hype train. I mean, they won me over pretty quickly, but I mean, I don't think he's an answer, but he's probably going to be that team's starter next year. So I guess Texans fans, if any Texans fans actually exist, I've never met one, but I mean, I guess he probably should get used to seeing Davis Mills for better or for worse.
Oh, actually, can I say something about David Culley? I don't remember, Bryce, if I said this when the Jets played the Texans 2 weeks ago. You ever see David Culley on the sideline?
No, I haven't.
It's disgusting. He chews so much gum. It's gross. Like, I understand the cow that chews the loudest is the head cow or whatever, but it is a ridiculous amount of, like, double bubble, I assume it is, that he chews. Oh, like, you know that, like that noise that everybody can. That's just probably how he coaches his players, and no wonder why
he's doing his best. Pete Carroll.
It's so gross. At least Pete Carroll like uses a flavor, but David Culley's over there just doing nothing. Like,
I mean, probably his second chew he finished off the flavor.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but was he not the wide receiver coach of Kansas City when they had no receiving touchdowns from the receivers that year?
Oh, that was terrible.
I think it was Culley that was.
Let me see.
How does he get ahead? I mean, I feel like that really rings a bell of it being David Culley.
He was the assistant head coach and wide receivers coach in 2013 through 2016.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Then after that, he was a Bills quarterback coach 2017 and 2018.
Which was, what, the Tyrod Taylor era?
Tyrod Taylor and Josh Allen's rookie year.
So Tyrod Taylor and bad Josh Allen. That's what I'm
yes. Yes.
Oh, and a little Nathan Peterman sprinkled in for you.
Then 2019 and 2020, he was Ravens head coach or assistant head coach, wide receivers coach, and passing game coordinator.
Oh, so the Ravens passing game. That's what they're known for.
Yes. So he did have prime Lamar Jackson, but not passing.
The Texans don't know what they're doing.
No.
I just wanted to throw that in there because I don't remember if I said it, but it was disgusting. Like that, like hurts your mouth to physically chew that much gum.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's say the rest of the Denver Broncos now, because somehow that started on Teddy Bridgewater. And I brought up Davis Mills. So let's circle back to Denver. What do they do? Where do they go from here?
You hope Aaron Rodgers loses in the NFC Championship game for the millionth time in his career, and you make a push for him this offseason when he becomes the drama queen again. That's what you do.
I mean, you got to fire, what's his name, Vic Fangio. Restart probably offensive coordinator. Build up that offensive line. I think is Melvin Gordon in his contract year? I think he is.
Yeah,
just he'll be gone no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you got Javonte Williams there, so you're fine at running back, you're fine at tight end and receiver.
They have all the weapons around, and they have Mike Munchak, who's the best offensive line coach in the league.
But yeah, you have to get rid of Teddy and Drew Lock and restart at quarterback. I think you do start with Aaron Rodgers. He fits that offense really well.
I mean, if Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, if one of those guys isn't the starter next year, Broncos fans have every right to be upset because, I mean, the quarterbacks on the roster shouldn't be the starters next year. I mean, this team is built to win their quarterback away. We said that last offseason, and then they decided Teddy Bridgewater was enough when they were right in the middle of the Aaron Rodgers conversation. They had that 9th overall pick. Mac Jones was on the board. Justin Fields was on the board. And I love Pat Surtain. That's not a bad pick.
Great, but you still need a quarterback. That's the most important position you can have.
You know, they've just decided, mediocre quarterback play. Like, do you not learn? You're not Bill Belichick. You can't win with a generic white quarterback. Like, it's time to make your move, get your guy. Like, it's time. Like, how many more off seasons do Broncos fans have to sit here and watch the most mediocre quarterback possible take snaps under center? I mean,
they've been suffering through it since Peyton Manning retired, and that was 2014, 2015?
Just wait. Jimmy Garoppolo will look great in orange next year.
Jimmy Garoppolo would not be bad. He'd be a game manager, but I think
he would be better than what they have right now, but he's not going to be the answer.
No, not the long term. I mean, are they going to try and trade for Sam Darnold next? Are they just going to take every single reject Panthers quarterback until they finally find a guy that they're actually sold on?
If they're going to compete in that division, they need to take a huge swing. Like you need to score points if you want to beat the Chiefs and Chargers.
Yeah, having a great defense is great, but how many times are you going to stop Pat Mahomes before they just get annoyed and just score on you, and then you can't score back?
Yeah, I mean, you can stop him all you want, but if Teddy Bridgewater and that offense isn't putting up points, what's the point of stopping them all those times and having that great defense?
Can I say something about Aaron Rodgers?
No.
He either goes back to Green Bay. Okay. If they win the Super Bowl,
I don't see him going back.
If they win the Super Bowl, he's done. There's no point for him to play. I really don't think he cares about football and stats that much. You could call Aaron Rodgers a lot of things. I don't think he cares about stats and all that and awards. So if they win the Super Bowl, he's done. If they
he was close to retiring last offseason.
Yeah, if they lose the NFC Championship game in a stupid way again, I could see him maybe coming back to play. I really don't think he plays for another team that isn't Green Bay. He either wins the Super Bowl, like I said, and is done, or it's just I really don't think he wants to just keep playing and playing, He doesn't have that Tom Brady, I'm going to annoy everybody till I'm 65 gene in him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got other stuff he does off the field, too, with his Jeopardy, he's made a lot of money off the field, too, and he obviously enjoyed himself before training camp, so.
I mean, I see him in Denver. I like that fit a lot. I see him possibly in New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans was in on the Tom Brady sweepstakes when they thought Drew was going to retire before he brought it back. I mean, they clearly have no problem bringing a guy that's, well into his upper 30s, But
they have no problem paying terrible quarterbacks either.
Yeah, no, we're no stranger to any bad decision, But I don't see him in Green Bay. I think he's either going to retire and become some weird man that lives in the mountains, or he's going to go find a team to play for.
He married Shailene Woodley. Oh no, she's into all that preserving wildlife and stuff, so maybe mountains.
We may never see Aaron Rodgers again after he retires, realistically.
He'll be like Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you where Andrew Luck is, but
no, Aaron Rodgers will be around. I don't think he'll.
Does Andrew Luck's parents even know where he is?
No,
he's had a kid a couple years ago. I'm sure they do. They probably maintain
Andrew Luck has a flip phone. Even the U.S. government doesn't know where Andrew Luck is, and they know where everyone is.
What about Deshaun Watson?
I think
obviously the government knows where he is. He's in a lot of illegal situations.
Yeah, the government knows where Deshaun Watson is.
Yeah, the government and a lot of women. But where does he play if he plays?
Miami. I mean, they were too deep in trade talks even before the season and leading up to the trade deadline for them not to go out and grab him again.
I feel like there's other teams that are becoming more desperate since, but we'll see how Tua finishes the year.
Carolina?
There's realistically 4 teams you could play for, and Miami's not on the top of my list anymore because Tua's played some really good football since the rumors came out. My teams are. I'm going to leave Miami on my list, obviously, but I think Philly makes sense. I think Carolina makes sense, and my sleeper is Cleveland. The Baker Mayfield experiment. You know, it's been a roller coaster that is just the most Cleveland thing of all time. You know, the ups and downs, and he's been that guy when he needs to be. But you know, if you get disappointed in the playoffs after the hype coming into the season, after you spend all this money to get this team together to be consistent on both sides of the ball, and you have a chance to win on the field easily a top 10, possibly top 5 quarterback in Watson, don't be shocked if the Browns make a play at this guy. I mean,
now here's this about Carolina though. They go after another expensive free agent quarterback because they just gave Sam Darnold $18 million guaranteed no matter what next year. So do they force their hand and just stick with him because of the cap situation, or do they just have an $18 million backup quarterback and pay another quarterback like Deshaun Watson?
You can go ahead.
I think they might be out on Watson now because of that, but they're not going into next year just with Darnold. They're going to have to do something else.
I mean, they've had 3 mediocre quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, Cam, and PJ Walker, all start games for him.
Yeah. PJ Walker is a waste of time. And, maybe you could get something out of Cam, but they have a young roster. They need to find a quarterback.
You can't get anything more out of Cam than what they've gotten.
Cam is not good anymore. I mean, their quarterback situation is probably the most dire in the NFL in the long run because they were so confident in their hot start that they looked like buyers before anyone. Like they went out and they got Stephon Gilmore. They got C.J. Henderson. I haven't heard from him since he got there. Maybe he's been playing good. I just haven't heard much from him.
I haven't heard from Gilmore since he got there either.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably the weirdest buyer situation I've ever seen. You're buying into 3 weeks of Darnold mania, and then it all comes crashing down, and your starting quarterback is all of a sudden Cam Newton. He screams, "I'm back," and then proceeds to go 5 of 21 in his next game. They're just a weird team. I mean, that whole in the quarterback situation does look like something that can be resolved quickly. So
quarterback situation is even weirder too because they're going to roll with 2 quarterbacks next week versus Buffalo. I mean, I think they said PJ Walker is going to be their 2-minute quarterback because they just don't like Cam Newton's. And for MVP Super Bowl, he went to Super Bowl, won an MVP. You don't trust him with your 2-minute offense anymore? Why is he even on your roster, and why is he starting if you don't trust him with your 2-minute offense?
And how does PJ Walker know it? I mean, yeah, he's the backup, but he shouldn't have been taking that many snaps in practice.
He played in XFL. That's really all.
Matt Rule blamed Joe Brady. He fired him. He's benched the quarterback time after time.
And you're still not. Your offense still ain't playing good.
Yeah, Matt Rule's done everything. He's tried to blame everyone else except him. At some point, the blame's got to fall on him.
He's blamed everyone else except for his quarterback play.
But I think he has. He's blamed them. That's when he benches them. That's what he's doing. He's saying, "Oh, here's a new."
But then he put Cam Newton back in the game in the second half. So how much are you really blaming him if you went back to him?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think the moral of the story is 2 of the teams we were talking about, Denver and Carolina, were 3-0 to start the year. And now look at them. We're talking about who's going to be the next quarterback of their team. So we shouldn't really take September too seriously. And look at the Chiefs. They were 1-2? We're like, is the dynasty over? No. They're still
the Chiefs' offense still isn't that great.
Yeah, but not great.
They're beating up on bad defenses.
Yeah, but they'll beat up on good teams when they have to.
I mean, Buffalo beat up on some really bad defenses and didn't get the credit that the Chiefs are right now. I know I'm probably sounding biased, but I mean, the Chiefs, barely beat the Giants with a terrible defense that they have. I mean, you're barely beating up on bad teams. How much credit can I actually give you until I see prime Kansas City again?
Them winning with their defense almost makes me more scared, though, because I really believe the offense will turn it around. And like,
their
they went back
defense
to
still
basics.
isn't,
They got rid of the
as great.
turnovers. Like they fixed the turnover issue, and they had to play a little more conservatively to get rid of that. And they're winning a different way. But now, like their defense are gonna have to adjust to the new way they're playing, and they're gonna adjust again. I really do. I think the Chiefs are the number one contender in the AFC right now.
Anybody else? Anything else?
I don't got anything.
I'm all good.
All right. That was a good, week 15 on the horizon. 4 days from now, and then we'll talk about it on Sunday, and the Patriots will probably still be the 1 seed, and a good team will lose, and we'll be like, oh, they're not that good, and we'll do the same song and dance next week, and then a couple more weeks, and then the playoffs are here.
Finally.
Finally. Your team's not even in yet, Bryce.
No more watching whatever is going on in New Orleans.
Until they sneak in.
Maybe Zion will be back.
Maybe Zion. Maybe they'll have Zion.
All right. That was Wavelengths, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Bryce posts a lot of stuff. I don't think he ever sleeps because he posts stuff at like 3 a.m.
No, I never sleep at all. I haven't figured out what sleep is since I was 11, so.
Yeah, nice humble brag. Theo wrote a great 2020 redraft. Garrett partook. I just kind of sit here. I hit record. I say some funny things. And that's it. We'll be back.
Let the smart people speak after that.
After what?
After you say the funny things.
You bring a nice background to the Zoom. Sets a nice theme for the meeting.
Yeah. That's all I am. It's just a talking head and a Zoom background. All right. Before it gets weird again and I get called names and an old nickname gets brought up, we'll be back on Sunday night.
Jaime.
Mr. Jaime, out.